Hey guys, so today I wanted to do for you my current full coverage foundation routine. I wanted to do like a acne coverage sort of foundation routine because I'm hoping you can see that I have lots of breakouts right now. And I really do have acne prone skin and oily skin. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is my All About Concealers video. I sort of touched on things that I felt about concealers in that video. It was more about these are the concealers that I like, but I wanted to elaborate more on what I was talking about in one of those videos, or in that video, and that was concealing to conceal and concealing to highlight. I mentioned things like those bright green concealers. For example, this is a Physicians Formula Concealer RX concealer. These are the concealers that look like this, where they're bright green. And this is another Physicians Formula one. This one comes in the trio of concealers. Oh, they look like this. I showed this in my Sorry Not Sorry haul as well. And it is also a crazy bright concealer. Now, if you put this on your face in the way that I like to conceal my blemishes, this is going to be really hard to conceal with foundation. The concealer that I love, that I'm actually going to show you my new pan of, because my old one, I hardly ever use the concealer I'm going to talk about, but the concealer I used to conceal is all used up, so it looks like crap. This is the one I'll be using in the tutorial, but this is the one I want to show you now. This is the Sonia Kashuk Hidden Agenda Palette in the shade Light. Now, I'm hoping you can see that this is a salmon color. Am I pointing the right one? Yeah. This is a salmon colored concealer. You can use that for concealing any dark circles you might have under the eyes. We'll get to that in a second. This is a skin tone colored concealer. This is the color that I use to conceal anything that's peeking through after I've done my foundation. This top quadrant here, it has a greener hue to it. That is the type of concealer I would use to conceal redness, because this one is going to be so much easier to conceal, because it's, or to conceal as in cover with your makeup and not have a bright green thing poking through, because it does have the skin tone to it as well. This last one here is a setting powder. Hopefully you can see that that still has a green tinge, and it's going to cover your redness, but it's not going to be so hard to conceal like these bright things here. And honestly, the reason you're using green to conceal your blemishes that are red is because green cancels out red, because green is opposite of red on the color wheel. So that's just what I have to say about concealing redness. Right now we're just talking about concealing redness. So I hope I'm not shaking the camera, and I'm hoping you're going to be able to see these red spots here. Some of these are active breakouts, and now honestly I'm only doing this for the sake of this video because the foundations that I use really are full coverage, and they really do, for me at least, cover all the stuff that's on my face that I want to cover. It really does a good job at just concealing the redness in general. However, if you find that your foundation doesn't do that, you might want to invest in the Sonia Kashuk palette. So anyway, you can use now also do as I say and not as I do, because my concealer brush is completely disgusting. I need to wash my brushes. I'm actually filming this before I go home for the holidays, and I need to wash my brushes, which is probably going to happen this weekend. It's December 19th right now, and you're probably seeing this January 19th. So do as I say, not as I do, and you'll be perfect. You can use your finger. I sometimes will just wash my hands before I apply my makeup, or I will just have hand sanitizer near me, something like that. You can use a brush to dip into your product and conceal your blemishes. Let me see how I'm going to do this here. And you can see, I'm hoping that even blending that out, it's starting to look more skin tone colored. So I'm just going to conceal these few spots on my chin. But the reason why I choose a fuller coverage foundation rather than just concealing all of my spots, which you could totally do with this, is because I like a full coverage foundation. If you like maybe a more lighter to medium coverage because you don't have a lot of area to cover, maybe you just have a few spots, maybe it's that time of the month kind of thing, you can just go in and conceal a little bit, or go in and conceal those spots and then go over your foundation and be good. I don't like to take the time to do that because I feel like this takes so freaking long to do. So that's just that. I'm just going to do those few spots. I didn't apply primer. I knew I was missing something. One thing I do before I start doing my makeup is apply a primer. My two favorite primers are the Black Radiance Shine Control Primer, which I'm all out of. I'm trying to move through some of my primers. And the second to that is the Rimmel Fix and Perfect Pro Primer. I love this primer. It's like a lotion type consistency. It says it mattifies. In the winter, I feel like it's a bit more hydrating, even though it also mattifies. So this is just one of my two favorite drugstore primers. So I would do this, and then I would do all my skincare. I'd make sure I was moisturized because you don't want any dry flaky bits. Then I would do my primer, and then I would conceal. So now that we're out of order, let's just keep on going. So that is talking about concealers to conceal redness. So the two foundations I want to recommend to you, and I apologize, I really was trying to find a line that had a lot of shades like Revlon Color Stay. However, I don't like Revlon Color Stay as much as the next person who has oily skin and wants a full coverage look. The two foundations that I like, and I'm actually mixing the two right now because I thought, hey, why not do that, is the Almay Clear Complexion with Blemish Heal Technology, and then the Maybelline 24-hour, is it 24-hour? Yeah, 24-hour Super Stay Makeup. These two are not the same color. This is way darker, and this is about the right shade that I need, but putting them together and blending them out nicely is fine. So I just apply this, and I find different people will say different things. I find I get the fullest coverage when I apply it with my Real Techniques, or any sort of beauty blender sponge. Again, do as I say and not as I do, because this is probably why I'm breaking out right now. Do you see this? It's honestly, any sort of makeup wedge, this is what I used to use, and I used to wet it too, and I used to think, why isn't anybody wetting their makeup sponges? I think this is a great way to apply your makeup. Wet a makeup sponge, a makeup wedge. It's fine. It'll work the same way. And those are more disposable, and you can get those at like Big Lots. So anyway, I find I get the fullest coverage with this application. So I have applied it to one side of my face. I actually screwed up, and because I normally do it all over my hand and then dot it all over like this and then blend that out. So I had put a big dot right here. So I took that off. But you can see this, the combination here gives such a matte finish. It's like, I don't want to say satin matte because that's definitely matte, but I think it's a more natural finish. And you can see all of my discoloration. I'm hoping you can. I feel like I can see it. All of my discoloration here. So I think I had some makeup stuck on the side of my nose. So that's without the foundation that I really like to use to conceal or to cover my blemishes, and this is with it. So there is that. I'm going to finish up the rest of my face, and then, I'm going to finish up the rest of my foundation, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I finished the rest of my foundation. I've blended it, where's my sponge, down my neck to the best of my ability, and I just want to show you the coverage. I don't know, is that too much? Do you care? I'm trying to be honest and real because this was a super hard struggle for me when I was really, really young and was breaking out. I don't want to say, I don't know if I had necessarily confidence issues. Maybe I didn't know they were confidence issues because I consider myself a really outgoing person. I don't know. I know you shouldn't qualify or quantify or whatever like that, but I always had a boyfriend. I was not an unpopular person, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to say that you know, I felt confident, but I was also insecure, I guess, about my body and the way my body was reacting to hormones, to bad eating, to not washing my skin properly. I don't know. But I have scars from the acne I would have on my chest, and I had it on my back. And so, that's disgusting. Sorry, I'm trying to be real. So I just want to show you the difference between like my skin here and my skin on my chest. So I try and blend it down my neck. Another thing I want to say is one of the things that was like really big for me was not being able to have really smooth skin. I think some of my pore refining type of things now that I'm older, and just the skin I have now that I'm older, I really like the way it looks. I'm not sure if you can tell, still have pretty big pores, and I don't use a pore filler because I don't want anything clogging my pores. I also have, I don't want to consider it pockmarked skin, but I definitely have a little bit of pockmarks. You're going to see that the bumps that I concealed earlier, they're still raised. There's nothing you can do about it, but I definitely have an uneven texture on my skin. However, I also have a zit like right here in my eyelid or eyebrow. That's cute. And that one's not been moisturized very well, so you can see it's a little bit dry. So that's another thing, you need to moisturize. But I like the way that these two foundations really give my skin just a natural, like, my skin but better kind of look to it. Now I want to get into something that doesn't have to do with concealing blemishes or covering something up, but it's for highlight. And if I were to use the same, I don't know if you ever pay attention when you watch your YouTube videos and you see a girl and she takes out her concealer that she's going to use under her eyes and she puts it under her eyes, and then she also says, oh, I'm going to conceal this, this, and this, and this. I am always cringing because you highlight with something that is a shade or two lighter than your skin. So if I'm highlighting this and I'm bringing my cheekbones forward and I'm bringing my nose forward and I'm trying to look all Kim K going on, why do I want to conceal my blemishes like that? Why do I want to put something that's going to highlight my blemishes on my skin? So please, if you do that, that's fine. Wonderful, more props to you. However, if you want to do it the Mo way and you want to do it the right way, I do not conceal with something they're going to highlight with. My favorite, I go back and forth, and I think I mentioned it in my favorite or my All About Concealers video, and then in my next like Get Ready With Me video, I was like, it's not really worth it. It's too much. You don't get enough product. And that's true. I definitely think that. And it's the L'Oreal Dream Lumi Touch Wand Concealer. I love that in the shade Ivory. I love that for highlighting. I'm going to work through my concealer collection before I buy that mess again, but I love it. It's the perfect shade I like to use under my eyeballs to highlight. So today, I think I'm going to use this concealer that you can't get anymore just for the sake of using this concealer. It is the the old packaging of the Revlon DNA Advantage concealer. Now this shade is slightly lighter than my skin. I'm going to use it under my eyes to highlight and maybe down my nose and the center of my face. To do that, I'm just going to do the standard triangle type of thing. Now, I'm only going to touch on this because we're doing it under the eyes right now. Usually I do a bigger triangle than this, honestly. Is if you have dark circles, you don't want to conceal with something that's going to highlight. So, side note, I am going to put this on my chin right here. I don't have any blemishes right there, but it is going to bring the center of my face out. So anyway, you don't want to conceal with anything that is, let me blend this out. So like I was saying, you don't want to conceal your dark circles with something that you're trying to highlight with. You want to use like a salmon-y concealer that was in that Sonia Kashuk palette. I believe the Pixie brand from Target has a peachy concealer. You can use Benefit's Race Paste. Anything that is a bit darker than your skin, anything that's salmon to correct the blue, or even something that's darker than your skin tone, that's full coverage, I feel like works. So I just did a slight, that was only slight like highlighting. If I wanted to do like crazy, I could use this e.l.f. brightening concealer. It's in like a crazy ass yellow shade, which I totally would use, but I'm not trying to be cray cray right now. So why would you want to, I'm hoping you can see a little bit of the contrast. If I had put this color on my blemishes, they would have just popped. And that's not popped like in a gross way, but like been brought forward, and that's not what you want to do. So I'm going to set my makeup. I'm going to do my brows. I'm going to set my makeup and I'm going to do my brows. And now that I have, what did I do? I set my makeup and I put my brows on, which I just filmed a brow routine with that. So I will leave that down below when it goes up. I think this is going up before that. So when it's up, I'll leave it below, hopefully if I remember. So I set my makeup. The setting powder that I use that I've actually really been liking is a finely milled translucent loose powder. And the one I've been using is from Mary Kay. I'm actually totally out of this nearly, and I'm going to finish it up in December. So I use that because it doesn't add any extra coverage. It also, I would have used, like in the summer, I would have used my Rimmel Stay Matte pressed powder or the NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat foundation. Pressed foundation, powder foundation, whatever it's called. However, I don't need too much matteness. I kind of do want to keep the luminosity, so when my oils do come through, it's nice and beautiful and not just, I don't know, it doesn't look like cake face, because I feel like that's what happens when I am so dry in the winter. So then if I have any other blemishes that need to be concealed, I'm going to show you the new Sonia Kashuk palette. I will use this shade in the Sonia Kashuk palette to go back through and conceal them. So I'm just going to use my own shade. I use my finger, and we're just going to conceal these little spots here. These little spots you can't hardly see probably on camera. And I just get it on my finger and I tap it in over it. It's a really good match for my skin. And I feel like that one's pretty much covered. And I feel like if I need something covered, it's not going to highlight. It's a pretty good match for my skin. It's going to blend right in. It's not going to be too bright. It's not going to be too heavy. It's going to stick around. That's the reason why I love the Sonia Kashuk palette, is that the product sticks around on my skin. And then once I've concealed those places, I go back and set it with the translucent powder. So I just go back with a little bit that's left and set those places that I have concealed, just so everything is all nice and good. And so then I would go back, I believe that's all for concealing, and I would go back and I would do the rest of my makeup, which I'm going to do right now. So I finished the rest of my face. I did some contouring, some blush, some highlighting. I did a really simple eye look. I'll go over everything that's on my face at the end of this. Now, to keep my makeup in place all day, I have one drugstore option that I like, but not as much as the high-end option. And that is the NYX Matte Finish Long Lasting Setting Spray. And I like this more than the Dewy Finish because it gives me a matte finish and I like it a lot. So I need something to fan myself. I do something that I learned from Tati of Glam Life Guru. She, last time I saw this, just soaks her face in this stuff. And it doesn't ruin your makeup. It doesn't, I promise you. So I'm going to I'll do it with this and I'll show you the high-end version in a second. So I just close my eyes and spray the crap out of my face. And then I fan myself with something, so it's not running down my face. This is an old Ipsy bag, in case you were wondering. Usually I do this before I put my lipstick on, but I just was in the moment. So I soak the crap out of my face, and then I fan myself so it doesn't run and pool in places. And I think that gets rid of like the cakiness, I think. I just think it gives it a nice like finished kind of thing. So on the rest of my face, for blush, bronzer, and highlight, I have this Cargo like contour palette. I got this when Cargo was going out of Ulta and everything was on clearance. It has a huge mirror, but it just has a nice contour, really pretty like NARS Orgasm-esque blush, and then a highlight there. So I'll swatch the contour on this finger. I've gotten a big dent in the contour. So those are those 3 colors there. And for my eye look, I did what I'd normally do when I'm running late as crap in the morning. I don't know why I put that back down, because I used the same daggone palette. I'm looking in the viewfinder, I'm sorry. So I took the bronzer and I put it in my crease, and I took some of the blush and I put it in the outer V and sort of blended it in together. And on the rest of my lid, I primed my lid with the Milani Shadow Eyes pencil in almond cream, and the rest of my lid will just be that light color, or sometimes if I don't prime it, I just use the concealer that's on my lid from doing that highlighting. The mascara I used is the CoverGirl Lash Perfection, and I think that was it. The lipstick that I used is my new favorite color. Isn't it gorgeous? It is Goddess by Lorac. This is Lorac Alter Ego lipstick in Goddess. You can see it has the thing there. This was in one of my hauls from December. I don't know. It also says Lorac in the, excuse me, in the lipstick by itself. So obviously it's on my lips, but I will swatch it for you because it's a really cool, like, purple color. I love this so much. And it is matte, so you could put a gloss over it to make it glossy. So, I meant to say this. My all-time favorite setting spray is, this is a new bottle, the Urban Decay De-Slick Setting Spray. I mean, I think these two are comparable. This is 4 fluid ounces, and this is 2.03 fluid ounces, so this is almost double this. But the price, half of this is double the price of this. So I would, if you're going for drugstore, I would pick this up. But I always pick up my Urban Decay De-Slick setting spray. Always, always, always. So I'm sorry my chair was squeaky. I'm sorry if you heard the dog chewing his bone in this video, but he's a dog, that's what he does. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to, you can read my blog. It's 516thblog.com. It has other lifestyle things, DIYs, planner stuff, blogging tips, things like that. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Both are at 516ths. I'm really active on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this video. I probably already said that, but I will catch you in my next one. Bye.